the best way I would describe it is it's a 3-month course. We meet once a week for an hour and a half Zoom call. There is a 15-minute homework video that you'll watch during the week, and then a 15-minute homework exercise, which is kind of like written self-reflection. A lot of it, so my life kind of got changed with finding and implementing a bunch of habits this past year, and I kind of went in a deep dive into behavior science and realizing like, oh my gosh, I've been going about changing my behavior all wrong for most of my life, kind of in a very American fashion of me. I was going for all or nothing, but really like small incremental change is sustainable, and like doing the small things sustainably over time is how you like change your life. So I think it took a lot of the like, it lowered the stakes, but then in doing small habits and goals, I started seeing a lot of momentum. So the class is designed kind of breaking down, I think it's like 13 different books that I've read, and from finance to fitness to nutrition to relationship, to, I think that's it. Those are the areas, but I just break it down and we do 2 weeks at a time for each subject. You're gonna walk away like learning how to actually construct tiny habits, and then you'll have done enough in class that there will be like, you know, a couple weeks in, whatever habit you made initially. I'm not telling you what to make. You make your own habits based on your own pain points. I kind of feel like habits is a systematic way to go after growth in areas that you feel like stuck or like overwhelmed in. It's just kind of like you have a tool now that even after the class, you're like, okay, I actually am wanting to talk to my daughter more. I probably, because I feel disconnected and it feels a little scary. Like I can probably need to create a habit around that. What's a good small habit that I could do that could start me on the direction of being finding more connection with my daughter? So that's just an example. Obviously environment, like your house, the state of your kitchen, your laundry, those are where we start with habits because they're the most obvious ones that people think of when they think of habits. But the thing that really kind of upended my life and changed my life was realizing, oh, it can be applied systematic growth to all areas. And I think personal, like my relationship with the Lord, and then also like with my kids and my parents and my husband, and processing my emotions. I was like, oh my gosh. So I think that's the cool part. It's like, oh, it's actually a universal tool. So that's the class. That's the content. It's online. The first like 15-20 minutes is I kind of alternate, where sometimes we talk about like things you discovered in your homework, and we go around and like popcorn around people who answer. And then some weeks we actually talk about like, okay, what current habits do you have up and running? What have you made any? Do you need to make any changes? Are you finding the time you chose originally hard, or is the habit itself? Do you need to adjust that? So we kind of implement that. Then further in the class, we talk about upgrading the ones that are working. Like, how do you make it bigger? Because it's supposed to, the first habit's like within only 2 to 5 minutes to execute. So then the idea is like getting consistency before you get like impressiveness. So as it gets roots, be like, okay, this one's working and functioning. So now what does it look like to upgrade or stack another habit on top of it? So that's kind of it. Oh yeah. So the first part of the course, or every week, the class is that portion, either homework or reviewing current habits. Then there's, I do about 20 minutes of teaching. And then the next portion is like guided exercise. So actually giving you time in class to assess your morning routine, or look at what you want to do differently with your budget, or review and edit some of the other habits you have. So I like to give some of the time in class because the accountability of actually carving out time to show up on the call is really helpful for folks. They said that was like a large part of it. So making sure there's time for you guys to actually do some of the exercise that in an ideal world you do after class, but like, oh, actually let's take some of the time to do that in class. So that is what I would say the class is about.
Each goal that you have can actually be broken down into something that really only takes like 2 to 5 minutes to start. And then she helps you break down where things are breaking down in and of itself, or where things are actually going really well. And she's actually really good at brainstorming how to make those things more sustainable, more effective, and easier for you to manage on a regular basis. And also, she's really good at helping you kind of change course if something needs to be course corrected, if something isn't working. She's really good at finding the kinks and helping you brainstorm. And I think that the best part is that you get to do it with other people who are on the same journey. And even though each person is on a different part of the journey, you get to hear and glean from ways that other people are strong, and you get to participate in using your own strengths to help others go on their own habit journey, because everybody's learning, and she helps remove that judgment of I have to have it all together. So I highly, highly, highly recommend it.
Hey friends, so one of the best decisions I made in 2022 was taking my friend Jenna's Habit Lab class. I had read Atomic Habits and Tiny Habits, but those books were pretty theoretical for me and I had no idea how to implement change. But in taking the class, Jenna broke it down in a way where I was able to see incredible amounts of breakthrough in how intentional I've been in certain relationships in my life, setting better financial goals, taking better care of myself, exercising more regularly, even little things around the house that used to overwhelm me. I've got little systems in place. I can't explain to you how simple she made it, but how profound the class was. So if you're looking for something beyond just a New Year's resolution, but you're wanting to figure out how to create sustainable change in your life, you guys, check out the Habit Lab. It was incredible for me.
Habit Lab changed my life. Going into this course, already feeling a little bit overwhelmed with life, having 4 little kids, I was nervous that creating habits and adding more things to my to-do list would just add to the stress and overwhelm. And let me tell you, the complete opposite has come out of this course. Creating these tiny little habits has resulted in a more clean, tidy home, more connection with my spouse, more time for myself to actually refuel and have true self-care. Jenna is the queen of practical and gives the best tips and advice from her own life experience to send you off with very practical things that you can use to implement, which is very helpful for me. I left each week feeling like I had the tools to now implement the things that I learned. I cannot recommend Habit Lab enough.